Hidden in the Fed's December meeting, buried beneath the headlines of rate cuts, there is some lies so alarming that three Fed officials couldn't even agree on what to do. And that is what Powell said your job. By the end of this video, you will understand why the Fed is now stuck between in rock and hard place, and why Powell thinks your paycheck may be telling you some lies, and what that means for your money in 2026. So welcome back to another video. My name is Saleh. In this channel, we are breaking down the macro part of crypto and the technical aspects. Feel free to subscribe if you love this type of content. On December 10, 2025, Federal Reserve made its final rate decision of the year. On the surface, it looked so routine, a modest quarter point cut, bringing rates down to 3.5% to 3.75%. Markets rallied, headlines were positive, but the bombshell is that hidden behind this rate cut decision, that's the Powell said in the meeting. We think there is an overstatement in these job numbers by about 60,000, so that would be a negative 20,000 per month. Let me translate. The official jobs reports were reporting we are adding 40k jobs per month, but Powell believes we are actually losing 20k jobs per month. The economy is in just slowdown. According to the Fed chair, we might already in a job recession that nobody is talking about. The impossible situation. Now here where the stories get really interesting. Fed has two jobs: keep inflation at 2% and keep employment strong. Simple, right? Except right now, both goals are under threat at the same time. Sometimes Powell mentioned this is very unusual and hasn't happened in his 14 years at Fed. Here is the plot twist. Inflation is running at 2.8%, above the Fed's 2% target, but Powell revealed that tariffs are responsible for more than half of that overshoot. Take away the tariff-related price increases and inflation is basically at a target. Powell explained in this way, it's really tariffs that causing most of the inflation overshoot. So inflation looks bad because of trade policy, not because of the economy is overheating, the labor market crisis. Meanwhile, on other side of the equation, both workers and employees reporting decline in the job. Companies are announcing they won't hire for an extended periods because of citing AI. It's a labor market that seems to have a significant downside risks. The impossible choice. Think about this. Cut rates to help jobs. You risk making inflation worse. But while you keep rate high to fight inflation, you risk a recession and massive job losses. Powell himself said that there is no risk-free path for policy as we navigate through these situations. That's why Fed is so divided. Some members think inflation is bigger threat. Others think jobs are more at risk. Both sides has a valid points. The tariff time bomb. Here is something crucial Powell revealed about how tariffs work. When tariff announced, it immediately doesn't show up in prices. It takes time. Goods need to be shipped. New prices work through the supply chain. Powell estimates this takes about 9 months from the announcements to full impact. The forecast. Powell's projection. If there are no major new tariff announcements, inflation from goods should peak in the first quarter or so. Translation. The worst of tariff-driven inflation hit early 2026, then start declining in the second half of the year, assuming no new tariffs are added. The catch. But here is the million-dollar question that Powell can't even answer. Will there be a new tariff? With tariff policy consistently evolving and Supreme Court case pending, nobody knows. The Fed is essentially flying blind on one of the biggest driver of inflation. Act 4, the AI wildcard, the new threat. Powell was directly asked about something that has been making headlines. Major companies like Amazon's announcing massive job cuts and citing AI as the reason. His response was fascinating and terrifying at the same time. The mystery. Powell noted something strange. Companies are announcing they won't hire anyone for long periods and cutting jobs due to AI, but unemployment claims aren't spiking. How is that possible? Powell's theory, it's still an early days. The full impact of AI on job hasn't hit yet, but it's coming. The historical context. Powell tried to reassuring nothing that in the past 200 years, technological revolutions always created more jobs than they destroyed. But this is huge. He admitted this may be different. That's the Fed chair saying AI could break the historical pattern. Let that sink in. What this means for you. For your savings, the Fed cut rates 3 times this year, 75 basis point total. Powell indicate they are now well positioned to wait and see before cutting again. Translation. Don't expect aggressive rate cuts in 2026. The median Fed projection shows just one more rate cut in next year. High yield savings accounts will start to paying less. For your debt, the good news, rates on credit cards, mortgages and loans should gradually come down, but Powell mentioned that don't expect dramatic changes from a quarter point cut. For housing specifically, Powell was blunt. The housing market faces significant challenges that interest rates alone can't fix. fix. We have a structural housing shortage. For your job, this is where it gets personal. If Powell is right and job creation is actually negative, we could be entering finding a new job becomes significantly harder, career changes become riskier, companies continue hiring freezes. Powell's advice: the best job security is the job you already have. For your investment, there is something fascinating. Despite all the uncertainty, Fed raised GDP growth forecast. They now expect 1.7% growth in 2025 and 2.3% in 2026. Why? Powell pointed out three factors. 1. AI related spending on data centers. 2. Consumer spending remain resilient. 3. Productivity growth hitting 2%. Something Powell never thought he would see. This suggests economy might keep growing even with job losses. The wealth divide. Powell acknowledged something uncomfortable. High income households who own homes and stocks are driving spending, while lower income families are struggling with 5 years of accumulated price increases. He called it unsustainable but admitted that Fed tools can't fix it directly. The elephant in the room. Powell was directly asked about President Trump publicly discussing replacement for him. His response: a simple no, when asked if it affects his work. But here is what is fascinating. Powell has just 3 more meetings as a Fed chair before his terms expire in May 2026. His legacy. When asked about his legacy, Powell gave a revealing answer. I really want to turn this job over to whoever replaces me with the economy in really good shape. I want to be inflation under control, coming back to 2%, and I want the labor market to be strong. The unspoken truth is, does he can make this happen? Conclusion: 3 takeaways. Takeaway 1: the data is lying. The official job numbers are overestimating employment growth by potentially 60,000 jobs per month. We might already be in a job losses, but statistics won't show it for months. The Fed is stuck. For the first time in decades, both inflation and employment rate are threatened simultaneously. The Fed can't fully address one without making other worse. Takeaway 3: 2026 is the inflection point. The first half of 2026 will determine everything. Will tariff inflation peak and decline as expected? Will job losses accelerate or stabilize? Will AI disruption intensify? Final thought. Powell ended his press conference something telling. He said that Fed is well positioned to wait and see how the economy evolves. But here is the truth he doesn't even say. The Fed is waiting because they doesn't even know what actually happening. We are in an uncharted territory, dealing with a tariff-driven inflation and potential AI job replacement and labor market that might be weaker than we think, all happening simultaneously. The December meeting isn't just a rate cut discussion. It was Fed admitting they are in a fog they still need to figure out. The question is, are we prepared for what comes next? If you found this helpful, hit that subscribe button. We will be tracking every Fed development in 2026, and trust me, with Powell's replacement on the horizon and the economy is at the critical inflection point, you don't want to miss what happens next. Stay tuned. See you in the next video.